In 1979, the Sugar Hill Gang's Rappers Delight gave hip-hop its first top 40 record. Exposure of that caliber presented hip-hop outside of the New York boroughs, even crossing into international waters. By the early 80s, British teenagers were enamored. Their admiration created an underground hip-hop scene of DJs, rappers, New York-style graffiti artists, and breakdancers. The art was made, the scene evolved, but mainstream interest didn't magically materialize. New can be infectious, a thrilling captivation. New can be frightening, the unavoidable reminder that things do change. Fear is what causes resistance when change is on the horizon. The beauty of hip-hop is the defiance embedded in our DNA. This is the culture that challenges, not conforms. A culture that believes in shifts, not stagnancy. This is Today in Hip-Hop. Jay-Z at Glastonbury. The day is June 28, 2008. Bill Dwyer writes Manny Pacquiao could be the heir of Oscar de la Hoya for the Los Angeles Times. Weeks prior to that, Floyd Mayweather retires from boxing, undefeated. Bill's prediction falls on the 11th anniversary of The Sound and the Fury, the legendary bout between champion Evander Holyfield and challenger Mike Tyson. Tyson was disqualified in the third round for biting, ironically, because on this day, Lil Wayne's Lollipop is dethroned by Coldplay's Viva La Vida after 3 consecutive weeks as #1 on Billboard Hot 100. You see, this is the first time since Spice Girls in 1996 that a British band reached the top of Billboard in the United States. So as Chris Martin celebrates overcoming hip-hop's million album man, Jay-Z prepares to perform in Somerset, England, a 9-hour plane ride from his New York City home. This wasn't an ordinary performance, but history in the making. Jay is the first rapper to headline and close out Saturday night of Glastonbury, the annual 3-day music festival. It's an honor usually bestowed to rock stars, and a tradition as old as the festival itself. So let me give you a little history lesson. Glastonbury's origins date all the way back to 1970. The year after Jay-Z was born. A modest audience of 1,500 people arrived for the 2-day event. But by 1989, the year Jay-Z paid his first visit to London under the tutelage of Jaz-O, Glastonbury had grown tremendously. 65,000 attendees arrived to Worthy Farm to witness 1,000 acts across 10 different stages. For the first 23 years, only rock and pop acts were invited to perform here. Hip-hop's presence was first represented by the Beastie Boys when they brought Brooklyn to Glastonbury in 1994. They arrived only 3 weeks after the release of Ill Communication, their 4th studio album. The acclaimed trio graced the Enemy stage and were well received by the audience. Following in their footsteps throughout the mid to late 90s was The Roots, The Jungle Brothers, Jurassic 5, and Slum Village. They traveled across the pond as invited acts. But it wasn't until the turn of the millennium, after we all survived Y2K, that Cypress Hill went where no other hip-hop had gone before, upon the Pyramid stage. Their high-energy moxie quieted any critics who believed that they didn't belong there. But there was still a barrier of separation that was apparent after February of 2008's announcement of Jay-Z as the headliner. Uproar was immediate. The Sun, a well-known England tabloid magazine, called it the worst Glastonbury lineup ever. Message boards were sprinkled with comments like disaster, tragic, and contaminated. The loudest critic of them all was Noel Gallagher, lead guitarist and co-lead vocalist of the British band Oasis. Since their 1994 debut album, Definitely Maybe, Oasis had been a staple in British rock and pop music. Jay-Z was still 2 years from the release of his debut opus, Reasonable Doubt, when Oasis was hanging platinum plaques on their walls. As the leader of one of the biggest bands to come from Britain in the 1990s, Noel is a giant in England, and when he speaks, it's loud. "I'm not having hip-hop at Glastonbury. It's wrong," he said, as the voice of resistance. Jay-Z was aware of the naysayers. The same rapper that felt the hellfire of Nas's Ether called Glastonbury's backlash the biggest controversy I've ever been involved in. But he accepted the challenge. He saw that this was a chance for change. In March, 3 months before his performance and just a few weeks before marrying the goddess Beyonce, Jay-Z told NME, "We don't play guitars, Noel, but hip-hop has put in its work like any other form of music. This headline show is just a natural progression. Rap music is still evolving, from Africa Bambaataa DJing in the Bronx and Run DMC going platinum, to Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince winning the first rap Grammy. I'm just the next one in line." You see, change was heavily promoted in 2008 due to Barack Obama's presidential campaign in the United States. The future president made headlines on April 17th when he took a play from Jay-Z's notebook and brushed his shoulders off in response to an attack from Senator Hillary Clinton. June 7th, 21 days predating Hov's headlining show, Obama secured the bag as the Democratic presidential nominee and the first ever African American to head a major party ticket. So change was definitely coming. Jay-Z watched Amy Winehouse that night of June 28th. She was his opener, the poetic princess who took home Best New Artist, Song of the Year, Pop Vocal Album, and Female Pop Vocal Performance at the 50th Annual Grammy Awards. She was at home, and she was the people's champion. The genius of Jay-Z is knowing how to be a clever challenger in a foreign land. He followed Amy's performance not with one of his classic records, but standing before the crowd holding a guitar and singing the lyrics to Wonderwall, the 1995 triple platinum single by Oasis. Jay confronted Noel's criticism by singing his lyrics, stealing a move from his playbook. The field erupted into song. In Hov fashion, upon finishing, he segued into a fiery performance of 99 Problems, likely for subliminal reasons. Once again, the crowd erupted. He discarded the guitar, but there was no question on who the bigger rock star was. Praise followed this performance, glowing press all the way around, but the clever cover of Wonderwall was specially lauded. Glastonbury founder Michael Eavis described the set as triumph. His daughter, Emily Eavis, the festival co-organizer who suggested Jay-Z, happily called the show the most brilliant pop culture crossover moment. The numbers didn't lie either. There was a 5-fold increase of album sales and downloads following the performance. On July 6th, 4 years after the release of 99 Problems, it re-entered UK's Billboard charts at number 35. The impact of Hov making history in 2008 had immediate results. Blueprint 3's single Run This Town entered at the top of UK single charts, Jay's first #1 single in Britain as a lead artist. Jay-Z's victory knocked down the door for Kanye's controversial performance as the headliner of Glastonbury in 2015. Hip-hop has had a dominating presence every year after that. More than ever, hip-hop and musical offsprings like grime are being embraced by the UK, not just in the underground, but within the mainstream. And there's no doubt that you can thank Jay-Z at Glastonbury for that. Progress is slow, but change is happening, and a little defiance can go a long way. And that is what we choose to celebrate on this day in hip-hop. What up, squad? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can hit the subscribe button. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram by clicking the links below. Until next time, thanks for watching All Def Music.